Hey everybody, in today's episode of Hello Road, I'm going to show you what I just bought sight unseen for $300. Hey everybody, Ethan here. Welcome to Hello Road. So today I want to show you my most recent purchase. It's from the late 90s, it's purple, it's got pop-up headlights, and it was a joint project between Ford and Mazda. Yes, that's right, it's a Ford Probe. This is a second generation 1997 Ford Probe GT to be exact, in this luscious boysenberry purple color. It's kind of a 90s name for a 90s color, isn't it? When was the last time you saw one of these? Most of them were modded, ruined, and crushed. Okay, yes, this one is in pretty rough shape, but I guess that's what $300 gets you. But this thing does just totally scream 90s to you, doesn't it? The color, the shape, those chrome wheels. The Probe was certainly on the list of highly desired cars from that era. It was also on the list of worst car names ever to make it onto a production car. Ford was like, the name has to kind of remind you of something that happens to you after you get abducted by aliens. Perfect, let's name it the Probe. So how was I able to get this thing for the measly sum of $300? Well, just look at it. It's really not that great of shape. It was listed as having hail damage, which it does have a little bit of hail damage. The paint is trashed, and it's got a whole host of other issues that we'll get into in a little bit. But I just don't think there's that many people searching for Ford Probes anymore, except for weirdos like me. So yeah, $300 gets you this cool late 90s sports car. The Probe was a joint project between Ford and Mazda back when Ford used to own a stake in Mazda. This machine is on the same platform as the Mazda MX-6 and the 626. Mazda was responsible for the engine, the transmission, and the chassis, and Ford took care of the exterior and the interior design. And this car, well, at least the first generation of this vehicle, was almost the new Mustang back in 1989. Ford planned to phase out the aging rear-wheel drive Fox body Mustang platform and replace it with a Mazda-derived front-wheel drive Mustang. So yes, the first-gen Probe was originally intended to be the new 1989 Mustang, but Ford shifted course, calling it the Probe instead. Sales of this second-gen Probe started out relatively strong, at least in the United States, but it dropped each year. 1997 was the last model year for the Probe, and that year it sold very poorly, and they quickly killed it off without much fanfare. Compared to some of the outlandish modern designs we see now, doesn't this simple and low-slung design look pretty good? And check out these wheels. Well, I'm not a fan of the chrome, and I'm not even really a fan of the design. It's kind of cool that they're directional. The wheels on the left side look different than the wheels on the right side, so they always look like they're moving in the right direction. All right, let's take a look under the hood. So this second gen Probe GT ditched the Mazda turbo 4-cylinder that was found in the first gen and replaced it with this 2.5 liter Mazda sourced V6. And you can see at some point somebody probably cared about this car a little bit. They put a K&N air filter in this thing. And when I got this car, it was not running, but all it needed was a battery and a couple fuses. So it is actually a running vehicle. I haven't really driven the car more than just around my driveway, so I don't really know how well it runs. I guess we'll find that out in a little bit here. Okay, didn't need that. Okay, let's go take a look at the interior of this car. Check out these flush mounted door handles, pretty cool. Okay, so welcome to the interior of my 1997 Ford Probe GT. The first thing that I noticed when I sat in here is that it's really tight. I'm 6'3", and yeah, I feel kind of claustrophobic in this thing. There's not a whole lot of space in this car. I've got the seat all the way down. My head is almost touching the ceiling when I'm sitting up straight. There's very, very little knee room, but that's all right. That's what happens when you buy a car sight unseen that you've actually never sat in before. No big deal. The other thing you'll notice is that the previous owner left us with this lovely purple accented dream catcher. I think I might leave that in here. It kind of matches the car really nicely. What does this say? According to legend, the hole in the center of the web allows good dreams through, while bad dreams are trapped in the web until they disappear in the morning sun. I hope that applies to problems that I have with this car. Hopefully the problems will be trapped in this web and they will disappear in the morning sun. Let's hope. All right, so let's take a look at some other things. The steering wheel, I gotta say, this is probably one of the ugliest steering wheels I've ever seen. It just kind of has this sort of like big frown going on here. I'm a probe steering wheel. That's what it looks like to me. So yeah, that's not really very pleasant to look at, but again, $300 car. I'm not complaining. It's just ugly. You'll notice really simple gauges, easy to read, and you'll also notice this car has 138,000 miles on it, so not that much. So hopefully this thing doesn't have too many problems. Like I said, I don't really know. And then we take a look over here at the center stack, and you can see also the simplicity here continues. Really big chunky buttons down here at the bottom. Even though one of these knobs is broken, my favorite type of HVAC controls, 3 knobs, fan, temperature, and location. And then you'll see this kind of 90s Ford radio that I'm pretty sure they used in a bunch of other Ford products. You also got some pretty flimsy vents. The second gen probe was one of the first cars that you could get dual airbag standard. So that was pretty cool. So the other thing you'll notice, yes, it's a manual transmission, which is great. This is totally worn away, and just touching it gets black junk all over your hand. So this needs a new shift knob like pronto. Down here, you've got kind of a nicely concealed cigarette lighter and apparently some trash. And then you might kind of look around and think, oh, this is a late 90s car. You'd think this car would have cup holders, right? And you look around and where are the cup holders? There's none on the doors. There's none in the center stack. They're not kind of hidden under here. Are there no cup holders in this thing? What the heck? Do a little bit more searching and you'll find out it's right here. Check this out. Slide this out and up like that. And then this thing pops out and down. And then this comes back down here. Actually, you can slide it back. Well, now you have a nice little cup holder. And surprisingly, for as flimsy as this feels, it's not broken. I'm gonna put it back. Whoa, actually it kind of flies up like that. That's kind of interesting. And it flips up and it slides back down in there. Oh, and actually this is kind of neat. There's another cup holder right here. So you kind of have like 2 weird cup holders in this car. And when you put this back, it kind of renders most of the space in there useless. So that's pretty much it. It's a very simple layout, very 90s design. I really appreciate how simple things were back then. There's not a lot of just bullshit that clutters this thing up, you know? So yeah, apart from this ghastly steering wheel and the fact that it's a bit tight in here, I'm kind of enjoying this interior. All right, how about we take this purple beast for a drive? Now remember, I bought this car at an auction for $300, but I haven't driven it more than just around my yard. So I think this might be the time when we figure out what's actually wrong with this car. Now I also have to keep in mind that most of the United States right now is under a stay-at-home recommendation due to the coronavirus. So I won't be taking this car on any winding canyon roads or anywhere far away from my house because I don't want to get stranded. You know, it's really hard to maintain social distancing when you're stuck in a tow truck with some guy that has to tow your car back to your house. So I'm gonna stick around my neighborhood, not gonna drive too far, and see how this thing does. I think it's gonna be just fine. What do you think? How bad could it be? All right, let's see what this thing does. Starts right up. Sounds pretty good. All right, let's go. All right, I'm off in my $300 Ford Probe GT. Well, the first thing that I notice is that I've got a check engine light on. That's nice. Also, the ABS light is on. So this is a later second generation Ford Probe, so it's OBD2 compliant. So I should be able to plug a reader in here and actually figure out what the check engine light's all about. Other thing I noticed, this thing has a 7,000 RPM redline. That's pretty cool. This also doesn't feel that quick. I know that this engine has kind of a flat torque curve, so maybe that's part of it, but it's very likely that this thing might just really need a tune-up. Let's see. Oh, do you hear that clunk? That's not good. Ooh. Oh, geez. There's a huge clunk coming from the back. What is that?
Maybe some bushings or something. Yeah, that's disconcerting. Okay, so my $300 car just got a little bit more expensive if I actually want to fix that. Brakes work great. Manual transmission seems to shift really well. The clutch is in good condition. Engine's got a really interesting note to it. Sounds pretty cool. Yeah, it doesn't feel that quick. Do I dare try the sunroof? I don't know. I don't want to like open the sunroof and then realize it doesn't close, but let's give it a shot. Oh, no, that way. Oh, that sounds awful. It doesn't sound like it's working at all. Let's try it again. Oh no. I should just not touch anything. I don't think the windows work either. Oh no, not really. Oh, and they're all messed up. Okay, so there's another problem right there. Ugh. I see why this car was only $300. Yeah, engine sounds good. It does still have a fair amount of power. It just doesn't feel that quick. And I don't really have any curvy roads in my neighborhood, so I can't really test out how this thing handles. But with that big clunk in the back, I'm not sure I really want to. All right, so I think probably what I need to do is get this thing home, just do kind of basic maintenance, throw some new spark plugs, spark plug wires, oil change. Actually also figure out what the heck that check engine light's all about and see if that improves the performance at all. But as it is, it's not terrible. I just don't have a baseline to compare it to. The gauges appear to be working, I think. It doesn't appear to be overheating or anything like that. Aside from that little clunk, this feels like a pretty solid car. All right, I'm just gonna do one more pull on this street over here to see how quick this thing is. I don't expect a whole lot, but let's find out. All right, 0 to 60 in 3, 2, 1, go. Get some wheel spin. And 60. I'm actually starting to smell something burning, so I think I'm gonna get this car home. That's not a good sign. I don't think that was just the tires. It smells like it's coming from underneath the hood. Let's get home quick. There's that clunk again. All right, so there's some pros and cons of this $300 Ford Probe GT. I guess mostly cons, but looks cool at least. All right, let's see what that smell's all about. It's probably hard to see, but there is a little bit of smoke coming out of here. Yeah, there you go, you can see that. That's pretty steamy right there. Where is that coming from? That's a little disconcerting. I'm hoping it's just oil. I'm actually a little bit more concerned that it might be head gasket or something. Well, I guess we'll find out. All right, the one thing that I'm slightly concerned about is that it smells just like my Subaru did when that blew a head gasket. So I guess I better take a quick look at the oil and make sure it's not a big frothy milkshake of oil and coolant all mixed up. That still looks like coolant. That's a good sign. It's a little dirty, but just oil. So as you can imagine, my expectations for a $300 car are pretty low, but there's a lot to like here. Yes, I have some concerns with that clunking in the rear end and the smoking that I can't quite figure out. I'm hoping it's just oil burning on the exhaust, but I don't know. It could be something far worse. It runs pretty well. It has a decent amount of power. I'm still not sure if this thing is supposed to be a little bit quicker. So I don't exactly know what my plans are going to be for this car. It'll probably end up being like most of my cars, where I'll end up fixing a few minor things, but then leave a whole host of other things broken, and then just drive it around broken. But we'll see. I've got a fair amount of time now that the whole state of California is under a recommended stay-at-home order, so I'll probably be able to at least tinker with this a little bit. Hopefully, once this virus thing is all over with and things are starting to get back to normal, I can take this thing out and do some back road drives with it, and hopefully it won't explode on me. We'll see. So, what do you think of my late 90s boysenberry colored Ford Probe GT? No, I didn't really need another car, especially when so many of my other cars are still kind of broken. But I just can't help myself. I like messing around with weird and forgotten old cars. It's fun to get to experience something that most people have completely forgotten about.
So, do you think this thing is fitting of nostalgia? Do you think it would fit in at a Radwood 80s and 90s car show? I'm looking forward to seeing if I can get this thing running and driving right. Is it too far gone? I don't think so, but we'll see. I'll have more videos with this purple beast coming soon. So, I hope you're well. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw here, please consider hitting that subscribe button and that bell icon so you'll get notified of my new videos. I do videos about weird cars like my Nissan Stanza, forgotten cars like this Ford Probe GT, travel videos and reviews of new cars and more. Stay tuned, got more videos coming soon. Thanks so much for watching. See you later. Wait for the guy to chop down the tree. I'm gonna move to Montana where I've got no neighbors.